Hey folks, welcome back to Three Zen. Bobo sitting here. So I come into sobriety through a treatment program, and I completed the treatment program in early September 1994. And when I reported back to Detroit, I was handed a laundry list of things that I needed to comply with in order to get back to flying, and that was fine. I was more than willing to do whatever they wanted. I'm good with that. So one of them was to fly up to Minneapolis every month and meet with the company doctor. We used to call that up to Mecca. So anyway, I did that first time in early September, and I check into the clinic, and they put me into this little cubicle. So I'm sitting in this little cubicle, bored out of my mind, waiting for this guy to show up. And I spotted a magazine rack, and they had, so I said, oh, good. So I walk over there, and they had a road and track from 1978. They had Better Homes and Gardens. They had a cooking magazine, and these things are all old as dirt. And great. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and after about 20-25 minutes, in he comes. And he's got on this white coat and a black tie, and he's got a clipboard with my medical records on it. And it was about maybe a quarter of an inch, half-inch thick at that time. So he comes in, and doctors sometimes have a way of speaking that just grates on you. Well, Bob, how are you doing today? Just come in. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Got it. But no. So he soft voices me, and I said, well, I'm doing fine. Well, that's nice to hear. And we talk a little bit about program elements and what his expectations of me are and so forth, and that was good. So October rolls around the next month, and we're going up to, my wife and I were going out to Oregon on the 20th of October, and I decided to combine it with my monthly visit with him. So they had an opening on the 20th that fit the flight schedule. So we fly up to Minneapolis. Wife goes to the Mall of America. I go to the clinic. Go in there, sign in. They put me in the slammer. And I go in there. Yep, same magazines. But I was smart. I brought along something to read this time. So I was good. And after about 20-25 minutes, in he walks with the little white coat and a black tie and the clipboard. And I noticed the clipboard's starting to gain a little bit more depth to it. Well, Bob, how are you this month? Still fine. Still doing well. He said, well, how many meetings are you getting to? And I said, oh, 2, 3, 4 a week. Oh, I don't think that's enough. Well, what's enough? And what do you think's enough? Well, that's for you to determine. I said, well, I thought 2, 3, 4 was enough. Well, I don't think that's enough. Now this is not going to go anywhere, and I am not going to win this. I can sense that coming right now. So I said, well, I know I can do better. I'll put a concerted effort in. Well, I would really hope you do. I want to see you do well in this program. Okay, fine. So I come out of that meeting, went back to the airport, got caught up with my wife, and I was on fire. I was so pissed off, that little nitwit. Tell me how many you want me to go to a week. I'll go to that minimum. But don't get into this. What do you think? Anyway, you're not going to win that. So anyway, I started seething on that, and I seethed on that. I'm a good seether, by the way. I seethed on that all the way out to Portland. We get out to Portland, my cousins pick me up, and we head down to the beach house they had rented for the week. And I'm still on fire over that. God, what a moron I was. Anyway, so I get to the beach house in this little coastal town, and I looked in the directory there, the phone book, and sure enough, they had AA meetings. And they were having one that Saturday morning about 10 o'clock. So I think I'm going to catch that one for sure. So Chucky, my cousin Chucky, takes me to the meeting, drops me off. And I walked into that meeting. As soon as I walked through the doors, I felt calm. I felt a sense of calmness. I knew I was where I needed to be. Had never met any of those people, but I knew them all. So I walk in there, and we had our meeting, and then, as tradition, does anyone have anything that's really bothering them? Well, yes, I do. And I told them about this nitwit I was dealing with, and gave them a little bit of the background and so forth. And I'm going on and on, and this guy, this older guy in the back, and I'd seen him. He had just sat there, kind of listening politely. He raises his hand, and he says, "Bob," he said, "do you ever have the occasion to talk to God?" Well, yes, I do. Yes, I did. Always have, and always will. He says, "Well, when you talk to God," he says, "think of that as a meeting." He said, "And that's between you and God." He said, "If the doctor can't accept that," he says, "let him bring it up with God, but you stay the course." And I heard what he was saying to me, and man, did that make sense. Um, there's an obligation there. I know what the intent is of attending meetings, and I also know what it meant to, I can't write them all off with, quote, talking to God. I have to show up. So, but I was very good with that, and as it turned out, I did crank up my meeting attendance. Okay, so now in November, I go back to Minnesota, check in at the clinic. They lead me down to the slammer. I glanced at the magazine rack and said, "Hell with you, I brought my own." So after about 20, 25 minutes, in he walks and he says, "Well, Bob," he says, "how are you doing today?" I said, "Fine, I'm doing very well." "How many meetings are you getting to a week?" And I said, "Oh, between 8 and 12 perhaps." "Oh, that's great. That's just great." And then he goes on for the other questions he has to ask, and that's all there is to it. And I, damn it, why didn't I think of that 2 months ago? But anyway, it was just that simple, and nothing was ever said of it. So I went up there for the ensuing months, and just kept feeling better and better about how things were going and how I was working with them. And then I come up to my 9th month, and I walk in there that day, and yeah, you know what's coming. Check in the clinic, down to the slammer, still looking at that stupid magazine rack, and I'm sitting in there for 20, 25 minutes, and then he comes. And of course I get this, "Well, Bob, how are things with us today?" "Well, they're good, Doc. They're really good." "Well, that's nice." So we're talking a little bit, and he says, "Bob," he says, "have you ever thought about, you know?" I thought to myself, "You idiot. Why don't you just ask me, have you ever thought about drinking?" But no, he goes through this thing. Yeah, I'm just sitting there looking at him. I said, "No." I said, "No, I haven't, Doc." He says, "I suppose that's because you want to keep flying." And I have no idea where this came from. But I said, "No, sir." I said, "That's not it at all." I said, "If that was my motivation, just to keep flying," I said, "what do you think I would do the day after I retired from Northwest Airlines?" I said, "No." I said, "I don't concern myself with drinking because I want to live. I want to go on living when I quit flying. So that's why I don't entertain thoughts like that." And I saw something in that man, and I saw fear in his eyes. I truly saw fear, because it was at that moment he realized that perhaps I knew a little bit more about this disease process than he did. He was a normie. He was not an alcoholic himself. And I think at that point he recognized that I knew what I was talking about. And I saw that in him. And the meeting kind of concluded. I walked out of the clinic heading back to the airport, but the moment I walked out of the clinic, I looked up to the heavens and I said, "God, where the hell did I come up with that answer? Because I'm not that bright." And I don't know where I came up with it, but it just was so natural to come out. I don't think about drinking because I know drinking will kill me if I take another drink. I think about living, and it's been a good life since then. But man, did I have a fight with myself to get through it. You know, one of the things I heard early on in the program was, when I'm in my mind, I'm behind enemy lines, and boy, if that isn't the truth. Well, with that little bit of blather, hope you have a great afternoon. This is Bobo, Basic Gear. Stop.